Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to continue on with building the LSD for the GF300. So at the moment, what I've done so far is just gotten everything pulled apart, and then rebuilt one of the retainers, and I'll get the other one rebuilt for you guys as well, so you can see what I'm doing. And then still need to pull the crown gear off, or crown wheel off the old center, so I can put that on the new LSD, or the new center. All the gears and all the all the gears on the crown wheel and pinion gear looked like they were still in pretty good condition, so I'm not going to bother about replacing them. It looks like the diff itself has been refreshed or replaced at some point, because everything looks like in pretty good nick. So for a car that has 300,000 kilometers on it, I would have expected for at least some of the seals to be a bit crusty or something. So yeah, so all I'm going to be doing is I'm going to get this off. I've already taken all the bolts out from underneath, and so that's what all these are. But you get this off, but for me to be able to get it off, after you get a blowtorch and heat it all up, so that way it expands a bit, so I can then lift it off. But before I do that, I'm gonna get this one rebuilt. So you can see with this one, like, I've replaced the inner race, or the outer race for the bearing, which is tapered. So the bearing sits on that. And so it would essentially sit like that on top. And then you'd have this axle that runs straight through there. And then I just replaced the seal as well. There's a spacer in here that you need to remember to not forget, because I started tapping this in and then realized, oh, I meant to have that in there. So yeah, gotta do the same thing on this side. It all looks still in pretty good condition. Like, I probably could still put the straight back in without any issues, but since I already have the new parts, I might as well just do it anyway. So I'm gonna get started and finish off getting the second retainer replaced or refreshed, and then show you guys where I'm up to with the rest of it. Okay, so here it is stripped down. So as you can see, like, along this groove here is where the O-ring would sit, and then on top of here is where the seal would sit, and then on the inside here is where you'd have the outer race for the bearing, and then the spacer sit between those. Now we can start like putting it back together. So O-ring is pretty straightforward. You can just sort of slip it over the edge, and that's it. O-ring is done. And for installing the actual like outer race for the bearing, obviously get the spacer in, but now you got to try and just sort of slowly tap this down, so it's just slowly around the edge, so it then comes down flush. So this is what, like, you can just use a block of wood like this and just keep sort of tapping it down. Alright, so it's all in. The way you know that the outer race for the bearing is in properly is that, like, this spacer won't be able to move at all. It'll be snug up against the retainer. So otherwise it'll sort of like shake around a little bit, but otherwise it's fine. And then the seal, you just sort of keep tapping it around the edge until it's nice and flush. Yeah. Alright, so got the retainers all sorted. Now we're on to getting the crown gear off the old diff center and putting it onto the new one. So to be able to do that, the fit is quite tight, and so from my understanding, you need to heat up the crown gear so that it expands, and then you can lift it off, and then you go try and fit it onto the new diff center before it cools down, and thread the bolts in. So it's going to take a bit of finicking around, but Let's get into that. I just heated up the gear with the blowtorch, and then was able to just sort of smack it off with a mallet. What I ended up doing to get it off the old one was I got some of the old bolts that slipped through it, and then just smacked on those to be able to get it out. Getting onto here though was a little bit of a challenge because you gotta try and line up the holes and the threads in the gear with the ones on here. So it took a few rounds of like heating it up, sort of wiggling it around, trying to get a couple of threads in with the bolts on a couple of sides, and then I could smack it on with the mallet. Obviously you don't want to use a hammer on it because otherwise you'll damage the gears. So as you can see, it's now all in. Getting it fitted in was very tight. Like the bearings that go into the diff center stuck out just a little bit, and so meant that like the tolerance on here was just touching, so you had to sort of smack it in a little bit just using with the mallet, and he was able to nudge it in a bit. But yeah, otherwise it's in. It spins, so should be good to go. Everything is torqued down, everything's hopefully up to spec. So now I just need to clean the faces, and then RTV, well, whatever this is, gasket maker, and then chuck it on and throw it back in the car. I think we're ready to go. I still need to get that wheel bearing sorted. I still haven't gotten that fixed yet. So I'll probably end up doing that hopefully soon, because I want to be able to drive the car. But yeah, now we got the diff sorted, we can hopefully be able to slide it around. So yeah, I'm gonna end things there, and I'll catch you in the next one.